Carney's plan isn't saving housing, it's triggering the collapse we've been warned about. $100,000 price drops are already starting in major cities. If you own real estate in Canada, the next 9 minutes are the difference between financial life and death. I've helped Canadian homeowners navigate two major market corrections. And what I'm seeing right now in the data, the rental oversupply, the builder freeze, the investor panic, this isn't speculation. It's the exact pattern that preceded every major price collapse I've tracked. Most people still believe Canada's housing crisis is just about not building enough, that if we just build faster, everything will magically fix itself. But that story's already dead, and Mark Carney just became the main character in what happens next. His Build Canada Homes agency isn't launching into a neutral market. It's landing in the middle of a system that's already breaking under its own weight. Affordability in Canada has hit levels we haven't seen in over 30 years. The average Canadian needs over 60% of their income just to cover a mortgage. For many young families, home ownership isn't delayed, it's dead. A TD Economics report didn't hold back. It said wealth inequality in Canada is now homeowner versus non-homeowner, and that divide is getting violent. In a national survey, over 50% of Canadians under 40 said they're furious about housing. Not frustrated, the anger is real, and it's cutting across class, city, and political lines. Because they didn't just get priced out, they watched an entire generation before them get rich off that same system. And now, the correction they've been begging for might finally be here. But it's not coming the way anyone expected. Contrary to what the headlines say, Carney isn't raiding in with a fix, he's walking straight into a firestorm. When you look closer at Build Canada Homes, it's the same bloated, agency-heavy approach that's already failed in other countries. New Zealand tried this exact plan under the name KiwiBuild, and it bombed spectacularly. The promise was 100,000 homes in 10 years. After 6 years, they barely cracked 2,300 completed units. That's a 436-year timeline at their actual pace. But here's what killed it. The same thing that will kill Carney's version. Bureaucratic delays, cost overruns, and a complete disconnect between what the agency promised and what the construction industry could actually deliver. The New Zealand government eventually admitted the program was not fit for purpose and quietly dismantled it. Canada is walking the exact same path. Factory-built homes, sky-high permit delays, conflicting mandates like net zero construction and Buy Canadian rules. Even the Fraser Institute warned, Build Canada Homes won't deliver affordable housing if it's shackled by competing mandates. But here's the twist. That failure is exactly what changes everything. Because while Ottawa rolls out this plan, the market is already unraveling. CMHC is warning of rental oversupply. Thousands of condos are completing at once. Builders have stopped building. And investor owners are already trying to offload inventory they can't carry. This isn't a soft landing. It's a controlled demolition that's already started. And Carney's plan hits the wreckage, not the recovery. Here's what you'll get in the next 9 minutes. First, why Build Canada Homes will collapse under its own weight, just like KiwiBuild did. Second, the 3 critical market events already in motion that will force prices down by 6 figures. Third, what this means for homeowners, investors, and renters trying to survive the fallout. This is already happening to thousands of Canadians. And if you are in Southern Ontario, I put together a 1-page breakdown to help you avoid the biggest traps and timing mistakes. The link's in the description. In about 2 minutes, I'm going to show you the number that flips this entire situation on its head. This is the stat I use with clients who ask, are we really going to see a collapse? And every time I walk them through it, they go silent. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. But first, let's start with what's already happening on the ground. Because even as politicians scream, build more, the truth is we're heading into a housing oversupply in 2026, especially in rentals and condos. CMHC says we're in the middle of the biggest rental construction boom in a generation. And by next year, thousands of new rental units are going to hit the market all at once. In cities like Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, and even Halifax, landlords are already struggling to fill units. They're offering free rent, gift cards, move-in bonuses, stuff we haven't seen in over a decade. In Halifax, rents have already dropped 8% compared to a year ago. In Toronto and Vancouver, condo rents are sliding for the first time since 2019. CMHC just confirmed it. Rental completions are running way above the 10-year average in most cities. We're not heading into a shortage, we're heading into a glut. Now layer in what's happening in the condo market. We've got tens of thousands of investor-owned units completing this year, and they're headed straight into the resale and rental markets. In the GTA alone, over 19,000 new condo units were completed between January and July. That shattered records, and listings have exploded, up over 60% year over year. Many of these investors bought in 2020 or 2021. Now they're getting crushed by 5% mortgage rates and rents that can't cover the payments. They're bleeding cash every month. and they're trying to sell fast. This is how forced corrections begin. Oversupply plus high holding costs equals panic selling. But here's where it gets worse. Builders have hit the brakes hard. We're on track for the lowest home starts in over 30 years. Just 41,000 new ownership units in the first 10 months of 2025. Back in 2002, we built more than double that, with millions fewer people. The reason is brutal. It doesn't make financial sense to build. Mike Moffat, one of Canada's top housing economists, said it flat out. Prices are so low now that they don't cover the cost of construction. Right now in Toronto, 100,000 approved units are frozen. Real buildings sitting in limbo because the market's too broken to build. I'm going to show you the number that flips this entire situation on its head. This is the stat I use with clients who ask, are we really going to see a collapse? And every time I walk them through it, they go silent. First, the chain reaction that's setting the stage. We've got thousands of rental units completing into a softening market. Condos that investors can't carry are being dumped into resale inventory. Builders are saying no thanks and walking away. And in the middle of all that, the federal government is launching Build Canada Homes, a massive construction agency that assumes the solution is more supply. Here's the reality almost nobody's prepared for. We don't have a housing shortage in 2026. We have an investor glut, a buyer freeze, and a market that's been priced beyond logic. Here's the number I promised you. In Toronto, between late 2021 and September 2024, condo resale prices dropped 14%. That's a $100,000 hit for the average condo owner. But here's the twist. That happened before the full wave of completions hit. Now that you've seen it, here's what it actually means for you. The market isn't waiting for Carney, it's correcting on its own. And by the time Build Canada Homes puts a single unit on the ground, we could already be another 20% lower in major cities. If that happens, you're not just looking at a correction, you're looking at a full reset of Canada's housing system. If this feels overwhelming, I built a one-page cheat sheet. It breaks down the 3 warning signs every homeowner and investor should be watching in 2026. The link's in the description. You'll see what happens when all these forces collide and what it means for ownership, prices, and who actually survives this reset. But here's what almost nobody realizes. This correction isn't about Mark Carney. It's about a system that's already snapping under its own weight. Because even if Build Canada Homes fails, and it will, it's not going to stop the collapse. It's going to speed it up. Let's be real. If you're a builder, you're not going to unfreeze a stalled project because the feds launched a committee. You're going to wait until land prices fall, until city fees get slashed, and until prices drop far enough that building actually makes sense again. And that's the reset we're headed for. Because whether the government wants to admit it or not, they need prices to fall. Why? Because without a real ownership plan for young Canadians, this country's housing system doesn't work. Mark Carney understands political survival. He knows a country full of priced out voters won't tolerate another round of artificial inflation. They want blood, they want prices down, and in the next election, they'll vote for whoever delivers it. That's the real reason we're about to see a major correction. Not because the government planned it, but because the system demanded it. Look at what's already in motion. Rental oversupply, investor panic, a total builder freeze, and now, a government plan built on the exact framework that failed in New Zealand. The conditions for a 6-figure price drop are not only possible, they're already happening in real time. Toronto condos dropped over $100,000. Vancouver's investor market is unraveling. Calgary's builder backlog is drying up. And across Ontario, we're seeing project cancellations, shelved approvals, and frozen land deals every week. This is the definition of a reset. We've seen this before. Toronto 2017, Vancouver 2016, Calgary 2014. Each one delivered corrections between 15 and 20% fast. And every single one of them looked just like this on the way in. This is your warning shot. If you're a homeowner thinking about selling in the next 12 months, or an investor holding multiple properties that don't cash flow, you cannot afford to wait for the news headlines to catch up. Because by the time they announce it's a correction, it's already over. Right now, you have a window, a small window to make smart moves, to adjust your timeline, to reposition your listings, to protect your equity before this hits full velocity. If you're in Southern Ontario, I built a one-page seller survival plan. It maps out the 3 red flags lenders are tracking, the timing windows to watch, and the price inflection zones based on your city. The link is below. Let's finish with this. The correction isn't a punishment, it's a recalibration. It's the system rebalancing after years of political denial and policy failure. And if you understand that shift early, you can move faster than the fallout. You're not just a homeowner, you're the CFO of your household. And the next 60 days could define your financial decade.